Welcome to Anmore Manor, and this is an episode on how to build on the cheap. So on this one we're showing you is how to get that crackle effect like that onto paint. There's multiple ways of doing it, but again, this episode's on how to do it on the cheap. So what I've done here is I go down to the like Rona, Home Depot, whoever, and ask for just scrap pieces of wood. You can get it, or you can go to a demolition site and you can get other people's crap. That's how you do it really cheap, and that's kind of what I'm about. So I've grabbed all this scrap wood. It was white. I'm gonna flip it. It was just white MDF, and I painted it black, and then I'm going to put a coating of Elmer's glue on top of that, just a nice light tacky coating, and as soon as that gets nice and sticky, I'm going to put a coat of white on it, and then I let it air dry. You can use a heat gun if you're in a rush, but I find that air drying actually looks the best, just because when you use a heat gun sometimes it bubbles and blisters. If you want that look, then use a heat gun. If not, just let it air dry. Use a fan and it'll dry fast. Again, this is just the first step of as you can tell, I didn't paint two coats, just one real quick coat because it's coming through. And again, there's the end result. Okay, so we'll come back when I get the glue, and I'll show you just how you smear it on and go from there. The pieces of wood now are dry, so what I'm going to do is I'll show you. I'm just using what I had in the garage. You can use Elmer's glue, and I'm just going to put a thin coat and just blotch it on. And I'll show you that in a sec. So here's just get a brush that you don't want to keep because it's going to be a throwaway after. And so that's all I do. Oops, sorry about the videotaping. A little shaky. So just coat it all over. And anyway, some people go all the way smooth. I just kind of blotch it on. And I'll finish this up because it'll be easier with both hands and show you how that finishes. Okay, so I've got 3 of the 6 I've been just painting away, and you can see the third one out there. That's just a wet coat, and the first one here had the same coat, but it's just starting to dry and get tacky. And so when it gets tacky like this, a little bit more, then you put on the white paint. Pretty simple. Okay, so all 6 pieces are been glued on top, as you can see, and I'm just gonna let them get tacky. Just let them dry for a little bit, and I'm gonna show you one of my trade secrets. Because again, this video is how to do this on the cheap. So one of my things is I go down to the recycling depots where they drop off paint, and just to let you go out, just to let you know, you go out there, and they're more than happy to get rid of that paint, so you can pick it up for free. So there's one of my trade secrets. Do it in on the cheap. Get your paint for free. I know one thing, black is hard to find, but whites and other colors are pretty abundant, and I use those for distressing other parts of my haunt. But I was lucky enough to get black this time, so that's why I'm using black for underneath. What else could I tell you? Yeah, that's enough for now. So here we go in painting. I'm going to show you, try to, and one of these days I'll get a nice assistant to help me videotape while I'm doing this. So Anyway, see, you don't have to do a great job. I just blot it on wherever and try to get all the spots. Because it's hard to do this with one hand, I'm going to show you, paint it, and then I let it air dry. Piece is done, and going on the third. Just tried to say, this is a great time to get somebody like your partner that's not a good painter, and they can just practice, because it really doesn't matter how it looks. You can possibly see here. It's kind of just blotching. That's all I'm doing. Just trying to get every spot and just blotching it on. All right. So back to the wood here. I'm just letting it air dry, and as you can see, it's just starting to get that crackle look. And that's about 10 minutes later. So it's still drying, and as it more dries, the more that paint will split apart and more pronounced crackle. And so there's a half an hour later, and you can see how it's dried. Zoom in there. And that's how you get that old crackle effect that I'm going to be using for baseboards and chair rail. And cost is next to nothing. And so I'll zoom in over to here. There's just some of the distressing that I'm doing on my wall panels.